Well, greetings and salutations, everybody. Welcome to the best damn movie-related show on the planet Earth, the John Campea Show, coming to you from right here on my YouTube channel. I'm, of course, your host, John Campea, and it is an awesome honor and privilege, as it is every day, to have you, my international friends, join me around the virtual water coolers. We talk about our favorite things in the world, movies and movie news and all that sorts of good things. Oh, that's my computer making that sound. I gotta mute that out. Anyway, I'm so glad that you guys are here and a part of today. Why is my computer doing that? Part of the show today. I don't know what's going on with my machine at this point. It's going crazy. Anyway, guys, it is Thursday, and that means joining me here on the show today, of course, we have one Aaron Cummings. Aaron, good to have you back. How are you doing?
I'm back. I feel like I've been gone for so long. I was gone last week filming, and I think I can say it. I was.
We haven't been able to tell people where you were or what you were doing.
I don't even know what you were doing.
Well, you know what? It's because Ryan Murphy scares me. I was doing a really, really fun guest role on his new spinoff of 911 called 911 Lone Star, which is all in Texas, and so I got to break out my Texas accent. Yeah. It was lots of fun. But
Cookies from Texas.
Cookies from Texas. Oh yes, it will be airing in February, I believe. So I will make sure to let you guys know because. Trust me, this is one that I am really, really excited about. So thanks for having me back. It's so good to see your smiling faces. And to you out there, the lovely viewers, so good to see you as well.
And, of course, Chris, you're here, too. Yeah. Chris Carr is here. Chris, how are you doing?
I'm good. I had such a weird week without Erin. Gosh, She wasn't here, and then that coyote jumped out of your bushes near me. And then
I hate it when a coyote jumps out of my bush.
About?
Oh my gosh! So I'm leaving the house and I hear this rustling in the bushes, right in that kind of hallway-ish thing walking up to your place. And I hear the rustling in your bushes, and I stop for a second, and then a coyote jumps right out in front of me.
Oh, it was right there.
Yep. And so we just stared at each other, and I got kicked out of brownies. I don't know how to do survival things. So do I make myself big? Is that what you do? Is that bears? What do I do? So I just stared at it. And it stared at me, and we stared at each other for a while until it finally turned the corner and walked away, and then I started taking videos of it with your neighbor.
Living in the San Fernando Valley. It's a wonderful thing. Yeah,
I would have adopted it and taken it home. Tom's always like, you can't adopt a coyote. I'm like,
it's really cute.
So cute.
I've seen the coyotes around the neighborhood. Usually at night, you see them running around the neighborhood a little bit. They can get pretty big too. The coyotes,
I see the same guy like trotting around whenever I'm driving up. Like, oh, hey,
Rob
baby.
says he lives in the complex. Like, he's got like a really nice like rent-controlled place or something. He's loving it here.
Anyway, guys, listen, we do have a whole bunch of interesting things we're going to talk about here today. We're going to talk about, first of all, should Disney Plus consider moving on a solo series, considering it didn't work as a movie? Could that work? Todd Phillips is reportedly walking away with a $100 million payday from his work on Joker. With Disney Plus's Mandalorian clocking in at around the 30-minute mark, how would you feel about the Marvel shows clocking in at that? What would be the pros? What would be the cons? That and a whole bunch of other things more. But before we get to that stuff, guys, we got one thing to talk about here off the top, and that is this. I love, it's no secret, Henry Cavill. I think he's a terrific actor. I've had a chance to get together and meet with him before he was even Superman, back when he was doing Immortals, and I really liked him in that, even though I didn't love the movie. I liked him in that a lot. I'm on record saying the blasphemous thing that he is my favorite Superman of all time. Yes, even more than the late, great Christopher Reeve. I just love Henry Cavill. I can't wait to see Witcher, all that kind of stuff. And, you cannot help but be an admirer of the physical shape that this guy keeps himself in. It is crazy. Now, we have talked before on this show about how, Henry Cavill did not just burst onto the scene out of nowhere. Henry Cavill is a guy and an actor who, long before you or I heard his name, was targeted by a lot of casting agents as a can't-miss blue-chip prospect. He was the runner-up to play Superman in Superman Returns, and he was the second-place guy to get it, and then went to Brandon Routh. And I actually loved Brandon Routh as Superman. I really did. He was also the runner-up to play James Bond in Casino Royale, and he lost out to the final other guy, which was, of course, Daniel Craig, and the rest is history. But this story caught me as being a little bit interesting. Did you know that one of the reasons Henry Cavill did not get the gig as James Bond, other than the fact that Daniel Craig is great, was the fact that the director considered him too fat? Henry Cavill just recently did an interview and talking about the experience, and he said this. He said, "I probably could have prepared better. I remember the director, Martin Campbell, saying, 'Looking a little chubby there, Henry.' I didn't know how to train or diet. And I'm glad Martin said something because I respond well to truth and it helps me get better. Now, before y'all get outraged about how dare somebody say that about the remember, if you're going to go in and play James Bond, the physical appearance of what you are is part of the job. I mean, that's part of the job. And so it's not like he was going in to be, the desk guy at Dairy Queen. And, it would be incredibly inappropriate for a hiring manager to talk about somebody's physique. But he went in. But it's just funny when you think about Henry Cavill, this dude who was like chiseled out of granite, who just gets bigger looking and stronger looking all the time, that this dude lost out on a thing because a director said he was too chubby. And I just found that interesting. Aaron, I have got to think, it's funny, we chuckle and we giggle about Henry Cavill because he's so buff, told he was too fat, ha ha ha. But, I got to imagine, as somebody who is not an actor or an actress, who would never be an actor or an actress, because I have no acting talent whatsoever, but I got to imagine this is probably something that maybe even more because of stereotypes that actresses have to deal with more than anything else, and it brings up a lot of issues. I see it talked about all the time. I know you had an experience with something like that once, and you told a great story about it. But when you hear a story like that from Henry Cavill, what immediately resonates in your head?
Well, I do think that it is. It's not. I think it's
Want to try that again?
Yes, thank you. It's an incorrect assumption that this is something that specifically affects women because, most of the male actors that I know who do not fall into the character actor category, they struggle with this as well. They go through periods where they have to, I have friends that go on crash diets and, I'm not drinking right now because I got to slim up for this project that I got. That is very common conversation amongst actors because, yes, we do work in a unique field where our physical representation 100% will determine sometimes whether or not we get a job. And if you're not fitting into the character actor role, Tom actually jokes with me. He says, I think I want to do what Chris Pratt did. I just want to get really, really fat, be on a sitcom, and then have someone pay me to train a lot so that I can be a superhero. And I was like, but Chris Pratt is funny, but Tom is actually very funny as well. No. So it is something that I think men and women universally have to deal with in this industry, and I feel the same way that Henry Cavill does. I respond very well to truth. Very early in my career, I had a casting director who told me, this was dating myself a little. For the previous CW was called the WB, and she said the WB will never let me hire you with your acne. You've got to clear it up. I had a really bad skin problem. I had tried everything. And I, in my mind, was thinking that it was being covered up with like pounds and pounds of makeup, which of course only makes it worse. And she was really honest with me. And the very next day I went to a dermatologist and I said, I don't care how much it costs. I don't care what I have to do. You got to fix this. And 6 months later, she gave me my first guest star on the WB on Charmed.
Aww.
Oh yeah, that's right. Charmed was your first show, wasn't it?
Yes,
yeah.
And I'm still friends with her. I am still forever grateful for her honesty, because that is the world. And what bothers me sometimes in this industry is when people don't say it. Because if I am, because the difference between 5 or 10 pounds, if it's 5 or 10 pounds, that I'll lose if it's going to be a game changer career move. That's easy.
I'm just thinking
That's cutting out carbs for a couple weeks.
I'm just thinking of the conversation you and I had just before the show started.
Oh, yeah. Would you like to share that, John?
So I turned to Aaron. So you have to understand the process we go through. Like, we come in to see, we take our seats, we position ourselves for the cameras, we check the lighting, check audio, all that kind of stuff. And I turned to Aaron because I noticed something in the monitor. I say, Aaron, I need to ask you something a man is never supposed to ask a woman. Do you have makeup? and the only reason I was asking is just because as you're under hot lights a lot, and sometimes skin shut. Like, listen, trade secret. I actually learned this. I picked this up from Jeremy Johns. I put on powder before I start the show because when I don't, the lights in here.
You look like Rob.
Yeah, I shine.
Rob never powders.
No,
and you guys, you could start a car with the oil that comes off of that man's face by the end of the episode.
But we all have these natural oils, right?
I look over and I look at the monitor and I'm like, Rob, just just give it a little press. Just give it a little press.
But it's true. So I'll shine a lot.
We all do.
And so, you got to tell the truth. I know, Chris, I mean, you've done a lot of voice acting, but
Yes.
you've also done like live in front of camera acting. Like when
Yeah.
you hear this Henry Cavill story, what's the first thing that comes to your mind?
Oh man, that it's so good to have a thick skin. You know, that's one of the really big things here too. Is you have to let things roll off. I walked into a casting once where someone looked at me and went, "Ugh," and I just burst out laughing. And went, "All right, well, this is going to be good." Hi, I'm Chris Carr, represented by Mag. The only and I'm a character actor, so I do get a little bit of leeway.
That happens to me on Tinder dates all the time.
Just
prior to being married, of course.
I was telling an acting student about this the other day because there's a difference too between being constructive and being nasty and hurtful, and
Yeah.
you obviously have to walk that line in this industry. I had booked a car spot that was affiliated with a big blockbuster franchise, and I'm just supposed to be eating meatballs. Like, I don't need to be thin. And I show up, and my agent's given them all of my measurements, not only sizes, but my actual, like, measurements, the inches. And everything they give me is a 0 or 2 sample size.
Gosh.
And I ain't that, folks. I am built for comfort. I'm not built for speed. And so I just look at everyone and go, no, I can't. And they, we'll try them on. So they're making me try on these clothes.
Oh,
and they
that's
say
horrible.
in front of everyone, she's too big for our clothes, which I respond back with, so that's not how that works. These are too small for me.
Yes,
And
good.
I relate it to my agent. The people who were being nasty to me were removed from set. On the day.
Really?
Yep.
Oh, okay, that's
Good.
impressive.
It was great. Oh man, Amber. Mwah. Oh, I miss you, girl. She retired. But on the day of set though, they still gave me a dress that was 2 sizes too small for me. And so when I leaned forward to eat my meatball, busted out the back, kept a straight face and everything. And once they came to readjust, I just leaned over and did a, so this dress is done. We're gonna have a fun time later today. Surprisingly, I was cut out of that spot. But you know, there's a big difference between being told, hey, for this role you should trim up or gain weight or lose weight or whatever you need to do, to just being nasty to people.
Yeah.
And the big thing is, in all these situations too, if you're going to be an actor, people are going to talk to you in a very, very straightforward way about stuff like that, about your skin, about your hair, about your body. And it's not great. And we need to walk those gray areas really carefully. But if you can't stand the heat, get out of the kitchen, you know?
That's why I've always been told I've got a face for radio.
But here's the thing though, is that there is a place for everyone.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, look at Danny DeVito. Like everyone,
Megastar.
There's a place for everyone in this business, as long as you understand where the category that you fall into. So the category that I fall into has very specific guidelines. Mm-hmm. And if I don't want to follow those guidelines, I should go do something else.
Yeah.
All right, guys, question is, you hearing this story about Henry Cavill, and it's funny on the surface, but it raises questions beneath it too. What do you guys think about that? Jump in the comments section below and let us know your thoughts. All right, with that down, we're going to now move on to our main topics today. And how do we select our main topics here in the John Campea Show? Well, it's really rather simple. See, you guys come up with our main topics by simply going over to www.thejohncampeashow.com/contact. Once you guys get there, you're going to see a form. Fill it out with your topic or question, hit submit, and then maybe, just maybe, you might see your topic or question featured here on the John Campea Show. With that down, let's move on to topic number 1. And our first main topic today gets submitted to us by Rhonda, who writes, "Hey guys, new fan, but love the show. Thank you so much, Rhonda. Good to have you aboard. I've seen several reports that Todd Phillips will make close to $100 million off of the Joker because he negotiated for back ends rather than up front. But did he really negotiate almost 20% of the profits? Is this true? Would appreciate your thoughts. Thanks." All right, thanks a lot for sending in that question, Rhonda. And yeah, for those who might have missed it, Todd Phillips, the director of the Hangover series, directed Joker, and the report is saying he made, by the end of the day, $100 million. This is the report that came out from the Hollywood Reporter. The unexpected bounty also is generating a huge payday for Phillips, 48. Sources say the director will earn close to $100 million when the dust has settled. He deferred his upfront salary in exchange for a bigger slice of the adjusted gross. In fact, The deal is similar to one he struck with Warner Brothers before the first Hangover movie, which went on to earn a surprising $467 million. That was one of the most pleasant surprise movies of my life. Honestly, I thought that was going to be garbage, and I love The Hangover. $1 million worldwide in 2009 off of a $35 million budget. The trilogy took in $1.42 billion. $1.42 billion. So listen, here's my thoughts on this. I have a allergic reaction sometimes to the amount of money that some Hollywood people make. Like, when I hear that X actor is going to get 20 million for this movie, or X director is going to get X number of money for it, and I think, you know what, the only way you should be making $20 million on 2 months' work is if the letters DR are in front of your name and you help somebody with a spinal injury walk again. Like that's kind of my, I don't know, maybe it's just my Canadian sensibilities, right? So how would I feel about hearing somebody like a Todd Phillips making like $100 million? Surprisingly, I don't feel bad about it. And I'll tell you why I don't feel bad about it. Because he took a risk. He took a risk. By deferring his payments and deferring his salary, he basically put himself in a position that if this movie doesn't do well, I don't do well. Now, most contracts in most businesses is, hey, if you get hired on to do something, you're going to get paid your money whether that thing is successful or not. Like, it's the person putting up the money that could lose money, but you're going to get paid your $500 or your $5 million. You're going to get paid that no matter what. Even if this movie's a flop, you're getting paid. Todd Phillips put himself in a situation, because he had a good experience with it before on The Hangover, where, you know what? And listen, Warner Brothers knew this movie was a risk too. That's why they only financed 50% of it, because they thought there was a chance this movie could lose money. They mitigated their risk, paid off for them. Todd Phillips, as a director, bet on himself, and he bet on the success of his movie, saying, I won't take a salary now. That's the verbiage being used, that he didn't take a salary. I think he probably took something, but I'll defer my salary, whatever, and I'll base what I'm going to make out of this on the success of the film. So I only win, Warner Brothers, if you win. And if somebody wants to put their own neck on the line and take the risk, no risk, no reward, then I actually have no problem with it. And it's a stunning number when you hear it, for sure, but hey, he rolled the dice. He could have lost money. Instead, he made money, so I actually don't have a problem with it. Aaron, when you start hearing about people making $100 million paydays on a movie, there is a lot of disparity. A lot of people watch movies and TV shows. They think, oh, every actor who pops up for a 5-minute scene got paid $1 million. There is massive pay disparity in movies, stuff like. But when you hear about this and the circumstances behind it, I'm really curious, as somebody working in the business yourself, having just got back from doing a guest spot, what do you make of this whole Todd Phillips situation and possibly making like $100 million on Joker?
Good for him. Good for him, and I wish that more people in the business did it, because I agree with you. There is a huge disparity. You have the sort of group of people at the top end of the credits making exorbitant amounts of money. Whether or not that film is ever going to turn a profit, people are losing money on that film sometimes. And then you're right, the people that come in and work, a week here, a week there, or even a month here or there, but don't necessarily have the ability to capture that kind of paycheck, they're the ones that suffer. If more actors that are on the higher echelon, and more directors would be willing to say, okay, I'm going to take a decent salary. I'm going to take whatever is a reasonable salary, but then I want to negotiate these back end points, it would give more pieces of the pie to the other actors who have no negotiating ability to come into a movie and say, I want a point on the back end. That's never going to happen for them. But additionally, it's interesting when people throw about numbers that people in Hollywood are making, because we never talk about, well, how much is the CEO of Johnson & Johnson making? And if you think about it, the role that Todd Phillips played with this film is going to make a lot of people very wealthy. And it has given a lot of people an opportunity and paychecks. It's made people money already. So why wouldn't the person that is at the top of that is helming the entire project, why would that person not be able to reap those benefits any more so than someone who is a CEO of a company be able to reap the benefits of the work that they do? We never talk about how much the person who owns, I don't know, the LA Rams I have no idea how much that person makes, but I guarantee you it's a lot of money. I think it's easy to talk about how much Hollywood types are making. And yeah, as you said, making the assumption that everybody in Hollywood has that kind of bankroll, but it's just not the case.
And one of the things I should clarify here too, it's like, hey man, good for Todd Phillips taking a risk and negotiating points. You got to understand the context, though, is that nobody thought Joker was going to make money. Warner Brothers didn't think it was going to make money, but they decided to take a risk on it anyway. This is different from saying, you know what, I know I'm directing the next Avengers movie, but I'm willing to risk
right.
my salary and I'll just take the points instead. No. That's a totally different thing when you're walking into a movie that you know is going to make $1 billion. I'm talking about specifically in a context where it's like, hey, there's this little film. We don't know if this is going to work. We don't know if it's going to go over. We got tons of fans saying, it's not in the shared cinematic universe. What's the point? We got people saying, Batman's not in it. What's the point? I mean, we don't know if this thing's going to make any money. And that's when you took a risk. Russo brothers directing Endgame is not taking a risk, but so I just want to make sure I put that in context.
Or
Chris,
like Donald Sutherland when he was offered back-end points on Animal House and said, no thanks, this movie's never going to go anywhere. I'll take my money, please.
Yeah, oops.
But
Alec Guinness was smart enough to take it on Star Wars. I mean, anyway, Chris, you hear about something like this, and what's your first reaction to hearing it?
Good for you, Todd. Way to bet on yourself, man. And also, was I right about this whole going over the $1 billion mark thing? I think I was.
You were.
I think I was.
Yes,
I need to bet on me too. Everyone should follow my advice. I'm so excited for him. And then you look at something else that is like it is a risk, like Elizabeth Banks with Charlie's Angels. She said this week, if you're gonna flop, make sure your name's on it 4 times. And I love that. It's just
a great
good for her.
If you're gonna bet on yourself, you also have to be ready for those kind of ramifications. So I think that's a very excellent example of 2 people who went all in, and sometimes you lose and sometimes you win. So I think it's great for Todd, and I can't wait to see the Joker in Bangkok. It's gonna be great.
All right, listen, guys. Question here is, what do you guys think about that sort of thing? I have no problem with it. I think it's great. Maybe you do. Jump down to the comment section below and let me know your thoughts. All right. With that down, let's move on to our second main topic today. And our second main topic today gets submitted to us by Luis Santos, who writes, hey, John, longtime fan of the show as well as Star Wars. I recently rewatched Solo. And though it may be an unpopular opinion, I really like the movie and am interested in seeing where the story goes. Seeing that it wasn't really the success Disney wanted at the cinema, and with the growing success of The Mandalorian, do you think it's a good idea to continue the story as a Disney Plus live action series? All right, thanks a lot for the question, man. And we do live right now in an environment where there's a big there's a big hashtag movement called Make Solo 2 Happen or something like that's trended a couple of times, and there are a lot of people who do want to see Solo 2. And listen, as a matter of fact, that's not that unpopular of an opinion yourself, because most people do like Solo. I like Solo. I thought Solo was a really good, fun sci-fi adventure film. The problem with Solo was that what I said from day one when they announced the movie was that nobody has asked for this movie. Of course, nobody is using hyperbole, but nobody wants to see a Han Solo movie without Harrison Ford when we just had Harrison Ford on screen playing Solo. It's not what anybody's looking for. And I've got an allergic reaction to prequel. I don't like prequel stuff. I like my storytelling moving forward, not backwards. There are some exceptions, but that whole... And I just said for the longest time, this was a mistake. You should not be making this movie. Then they had all the drama with it, with Lord Miller, blah, blah. Ron Howard came in, salvaged the film, did a great job with it. But expectedly, the movie flopped. I mean, made close to $400 million, but this was a movie that, after all the reshoots that took place, it almost cost them $300 million to make it. This was a Star Wars movie. Wrap your heads around this. That lost money. It lost money. It was a bad idea in the first place. Ron Howard made it a fun film, but it lost money. So the question is, now that we've got Disney Plus, now that The Mandalorian is working, and certainly Solo did end a little open-ended with a lot of potential for directions you could go and things you could do, should they just move it over to Disney Plus and do it as a Disney Plus series? And I'm going to say adamantly no. And here's why. There's this perception out there that you can take any garbage and just, put it on Netflix or put it on Disney Plus or put it on Amazon Prime. Listen, a property is either working or it's not working. A property has either garnered an audience or it hasn't. And just by taking and saying, and thinking that by putting it on Disney Plus, it's free to make. There's no financial risk. Just put it on Disney Plus and it's free. No, they're spending tons of money on doing the stuff that they're doing on Disney Plus. And as much as I really did enjoy it, I thought Alden Ehrenreich did a great job playing Solo. I really do. I love Childish Gambino playing Lando. That was great. Wasn't big on Emilia Clarke's performance in it, but they did some interesting things with the character. I loved Woody Harrelson in it. It was a good, fun space adventure movie, but it was still a bad idea, and it lost the money. And because of that, no, I actually do not think they should or will. And anything is possible. We live in a world where anything's possible, but I don't believe they should or will move this thing to a Disney Plus and continue on the story, despite the fact that there's some of us that quite enjoyed it. I just think it would be a bad move. Anyway, Aaron, you're seeing this. We're living in the beginnings of a new entertainment world with the dominance the emerging dominance of the streaming service at Disney Plus. Do you think there could be a home for future stories of Solo on a streaming service like Disney Plus?
Well, first of all, I want to say, who doesn't love Woody Harrelson in everything he does?
He's great.
He's pretty great. But no, I agree with you. I don't think that that's a viable option. If something is not able to make the studio money in the theaters, which is where all of the Star Wars, which is where the franchise has been living, if it wasn't able to make money there, the studio is not going to take that big of a risk and put it on Disney Plus, because as you said, it still costs money. It's not like you put it on a streaming network and then all of a sudden it's just like, yeah, let's just turn on a TV show. I mean, TV shows these days, especially if you're looking at The Mandalorian, these shows cost a lot of money to make. And with all the other potential stories that they have in their brain vaults, I like in their
that.
brain vaults, they're just not going to put up the capital to regurgitate something that didn't work the first time. It just doesn't make financial sense.
Chris, you hearing about this? What do you think?
I think it could do. I think they could make it happen. Hear me out. Okay. Because I think this was a very fun movie, and I love Donald Glover. I'd really just like a Lando series, if I'm being honest, or more movies with him, because I'm obsessed with him.
Oh, there you go.
But, so we leave off in that film with Han about to go get involved with the Hutt.
Right.
That all could be a very interesting limited series. I would be very interested in that, because at the end of the day, his stuff with Kira, I don't care about. I know he doesn't end up with her. It's, again, like Smallville, get rid of Lana. I know she's not the deal. Get rid of her. I don't care. But Han's involvement with Jabba, I would love to see how all of that goes down. I think all of that could be fascinating and really, really well done if you do a limited, no more than 12 episode series.
I will go a little bit different. I think the only thing that would, have the possibility of some success is, because we know how the Jabba thing goes, right? He takes a spice run, he runs into some Imperial cruisers, he drops Jabba's spices, and Jabba's pissed off about it, and he ends up in Carbonite. But the one thing that I think they could do, because the other ending of that movie is the revelation that Kira is working with Darth Maul.
Yeah.
If you wanted to do a limited Maul series based on where it left off with Solo, and it's not Solo, it's not any of that other stuff, I do believe there would be a lot of interest in a Maul series about what happens with Darth Maul between that point at the end of Solo and the point where Maul dies in Star Wars Rebels at the hands of Obi-Wan Kenobi. Mm-hmm. I think that might have some potential.
That'd be cool. And that's honestly where Kira got interesting too. Where, wait, hold up. What's happening here?
Yes, you put her in that, then all of a sudden I think that character becomes a little bit more interesting.
Yeah, I'm not saying that you can't take elements of the film and create a sort of spin-off story, but the idea of we're just going to take the film and continue it on, that I wouldn't see working. But I love what both of you were saying.
All right, question here is, guys, what do you think about that? Are you one of these make Solo 2 happen? Do you think just picking it up on a Disney Plus, maybe you got some really good reasons thinking it'll work? Maybe you don't. Jump down to the comment section below and let us know your thoughts. All right, with that down, let's move on to main topic number 3. And our third main topic today gets submitted to us by Adit A, who writes, "Hi, John. Lucasfilm has recently released the Star Wars The Rise of Skywalker character posters." Yep, they just came out yesterday. I got the email. It features 12 of the main characters, but neither Luke, Leia, or even Palpatine. What does this suggest about the movie? All right, thanks a lot for the question, man. And yes, what is a standard thing now for a lot of movies that are even remotely big is that at some point the studios release the character posters. I call them standing posters. It's just a poster of a character standing. Nothing else interesting about it, just standing. And as Adit pointed out, yeah, they put out all the ones for the upcoming Star Wars Rise of Skywalker. We got a mixture of the new characters, the characters that have already been a part of it. But what is interesting about it, I do gotta say, I dig the Lando one though. He looks pretty badass right there. He goes, "What's up?" Anyway, so we do get all these character posters. Now, one of the things that I have mentioned is one of my fears about Star Wars Rise of Skywalker, and it's because of the marketing, it's not because of the movie itself, is that the marketing for this movie has been very Palpatine heavy. From the very first time they dropped the very first teaser for this movie at Star Wars Celebration, who they had come out on stage? Ian McDiarmid, the guy who plays the Emperor. And the words he said was, "Run it again," in the voice of the Emperor, right? So it's Emperor, and you got the Emperor's voice, and that's the part everybody loves. You have, then the first big poster comes out. The whole poster is the Emperor's face, with the little figures of Rey and Kylo fighting it out at the bottom, but it's the Emperor's face. That's the poster. And then the new trailer comes out, and it's narrated by Palpatine. And my one fear, as a result of this marketing, is that this marketing is promising us the Emperor. My fear of this movie is that we're going to get into it, and the Emperor doesn't show up till about 5 minutes towards the end of the film, and man, I'm the bad guy, and then, oh no, I'm dead. You know, that's my one fear of going into that. Now, we're getting so we know he's going to be an important figure. We know Mark Hamill as Luke Skywalker is in this movie. That's been well documented. Leia, I'm not surprised at all that we don't got a Leia poster, because we already know that Leia's entire existence in this movie is recycled footage that they didn't use from The Force Awakens. So she's probably playing an important role, guys, she's not playing a big role, I don't believe. So I'm not surprised that we're not getting a poster of that. That's fine. To me, this furthers the conspiracy theory that a few other viewers have brought up to me before. Because I asked the question, wait a minute, when the last trailer came out and they said it's the final trailer, why did we not see Palpatine? You're advertising him like crazy. Why did we not see Luke? And some viewers brought this theory up to me, and I think it applies here to the character posters. Somebody said to me, "John, did you think about the possibility that seeing Palpatine and what his appearance is in this movie may constitute a major reveal about the nature of Palpatine in this movie?" I thought, oh. Because, I mean, he's not. But what if Palpatine's a Force ghost in this movie? And then they show Palpatine in the trailer as a glowy Force ghost. Well, that just reveals a major thing. What if Luke is not a Force ghost? Again, I know, Campea again with the maybe Luke's still alive thing. I know. But I'm just saying, what if Luke is not a Force ghost and you show Luke just hanging out at a table with a beer in his hand going, "Train harder," or something like that? That would constitute a major reveal. And the fact that, and I'm not saying that Luke's alive and the Palpatine's not a Force, I'm not saying any of that, but I think looking at, you put out 12 character posters, and one of the main Palpatine and one of the main Luke, I am starting to buy more and more, guys, into this theory that maybe just their physical appearance in this movie may itself reveal something that would be surprising and revealing that they don't want us to know yet. So I'm buying into the theory. I'm buying into that theory. What that means, I don't know. What Palpatine's physical condition and appearance will look like, I have no clue. What could it possibly be about Luke that would be revealing? I have no idea. But I'm buying into it a little bit. Chris, we haven't seen Luke in the trailers. We haven't seen Palpatine in the trailers. We haven't seen now Luke and Palpatine in the character posters. Is this just nothing? Or are you buying into my little conspiracy theory that I'm also buying into?
I am hook, line, and sinker into this conspiracy. It is called Rise of Skywalker, y'all. This is the conclusion of Luke Skywalker saga. A poster definitely could spoil some stuff for us. And also, when I looked at these posters, I didn't even think about how we were missing Papa Palpatine or Luke. I was focused on 3PO because in the trailer, you can't see his whole body usually. He doesn't have his red arm anymore. He's back to being all nice and gold everywhere. He got that upgrade.
But he gets red eyes.
Okay. I mean, that was my thing where I was like, when did we fix this droid? When did we lose red arm?
And we're here, by the way, we've been hearing more and more whispers. He actually does play, this will be the most significant role that 3PO has ever played in any Star Wars movie.
Oh, man.
So
it's a great time for a linguistic spot. Like, we're going to get all Tolkien up in here and be like, man, language is super important, you guys.
you shall not pass.
It's a great time to be
Until you can
linguistic
talk to me
spot.
about this. Human-cyborg relations.
What do you think, Aaron, when do you buy into this, or you think, listen, lots of characters don't pop up in character posters, but do you see something more to this, or do you see nothing in this?
Well, no, but your theory absolutely holds weight because as you said, you've already established that these characters are going to be in the film. They're already established in that based on teasers and trailers. But yeah, if there's something that's going to be given away to the audience by releasing a full poster, they're not going to do that. And also, look at what's happening right now. Just the simple fact that they don't have these posters has everyone creating conspiracy theories and going, "What's going to happen? And what's going to happen? What does this mean?" They're creating. Sometimes you put something out there to create buzz. Sometimes you hold something back to create even more buzz. And
that's deep. That's a deep cut right there. I like that.
And it's working. Marketing people, you guys know what you're doing because that's what we're talking about.
So the question here is, guys, what do you think? Are you like, you guys are being crazy? They just didn't have character posters, no big deal. Or do you think it is a big deal? Are you buying into that theory like I am? Maybe you're not. Jump down to the comment section below and let me know how you're approaching that whole theory. All right, with that down and out of the way, let's now move on to our fourth and final main topic today. And our fourth and final main topic today gets submitted to us by Hayden Zilf. I hope I'm pronouncing that right. Who writes, "Hey, John, longtime fan from Singapore since the AMC days." Well, thank you so much, man. I appreciate that. Now that we have seen 2 episodes of The Mandalorian, and each episode is around 30 minutes long, does this give us an indication of the runtime of the Marvel TV shows is going to be? Thanks, and bring on the filthy. All right, thanks a lot for sending that in, man. And yeah, listen, generally speaking, not everybody loves Mandalorian, but most people seem to. But one of the minor quibbles that we're hearing even from people who love The Mandalorian the most is that few people are disappointed with the runtime. They were kind of hoping, granted, Star Wars, Lucasfilm, Disney never told us that The Mandalorian were going to be hour-long episodes. That's just something we assumed. Turns out they're really closer around the 30-minute mark. Okay, and that has been one of the little quibbles that some people have with the series so far. To a degree, understandable because we had our expectations set. I think it's fine, whatever. But the question has come up a few times in the last couple of days is that, wait a minute. Does this mean Falcon and Winter Soldier are only going to be 30-minute long episodes? Does this mean Loki is only going to be 30-minute? Does this mean, that WandaVision is going to be 30-minute episodes? Is that what all this means? Is Obi-Wan Kenobi only going to be 30-minute episodes? My first answer to that is we've got one show so far. It's not a big enough, I don't believe the one show is a big enough sample size for us to, predict or make any sort of long-term evaluations on how we think this is going to play out with all of them. Now, if we had 4 or 5 shows and they were all 30 minutes long, then we can start making assumptions about what future shows would be. The fact that The Mandalorian is a half hour, I don't think is necessarily indicative of what they're going to do and be moving forward. However, you'd have to be a little bit naive not to at least acknowledge the possibility that, hey, if that's where they went with this, they could also be looking at doing that with these other series. Because one of the things we were all excited about with the Marvel shows, the Star Wars shows, is they said these things are going to be borderline movie quality. Well, if you're going to do things border movie quality, it means you're going to be doing things with movie quality budgets and money and expense and all that kind of stuff. And, if you make The Mandalorian 30-minute episodes to make it half the cost, okay, I get it. As long as by the end of it, instead of having an 8-hour story, if we have a 4.5-hour story, as long as it's a good 4.5-hour story, that's fine with me. So the question becomes, if Marvel does indeed move ahead with 30-minute episodes, guys, on the Disney Plus series, is there upside to that, and is there some downside? I want to suggest there's a little bit of both. Let me start with the downside, the cons of doing 30-minute episodes. Number one, very selfishly, from a fan's point of view, it's only 30 minutes. I like what I like, and I like seeing hour-long stories and all that kind of stuff, and to be 30 minutes is just, and not what the industry standard is right now. The big dramas on TV, be they sci-fi or not, tend to be hour-long episodes, or sometimes a little bit longer. So to me, that's a little bit of a con. Number two con means that if you have an 8-episode season, instead of an 8-hour story arc, you're getting a 4.5 hour story arc. Well, then that means you're going to have less story that you're telling. There's going to be less characters. There's going to be less details you go into because it's a shorter thing. And that is a con as well. Those are the main cons that I see. There are, however, to me, a couple of pros. The first advantage and the first pro of it all is simply this, is that from the studio's point of view, it keeps the expense low. And I don't know if that, as a fan, I would rather see an 8-episode season at a half hour with great top-of-the-line production value than an 8-hour run over 8 episodes with 60% production value. So I think that could be an advantage as well. Number two, I think it forces the showrunners to keep the show focused on the main stories. Like even some of the greatest shows of all time, whether it's Sopranos, Breaking Bad, even my beloved Sons of Anarchy, things like that, there were often times where there would be these secondary or even third-tier characters that would get a chunk of screen time devoted to them with their own little side story that I honestly didn't care about. Half-hour episodes forces the showrunners to keep the focus on, you can do a couple side stories, but to keep the focus on the main narrative and to keep the main narrative going. The third advantage I see is that for people who are new initiates to either Marvel or Star Wars, makes it very bingeable. I mean, really, really bingeable very easily, because you're not looking at a 12-hour thing. You got to just like, oh, wait a minute. So like in 4.5, I can knock that out in 2 days. You can catch up on a whole series. So that's pretty good too. So I do see the pros and cons there. So anyway, Aaron, as somebody who has seen Mandalorian, and
Yes.
you've seen how they've been pacing it out with their lengths,
Yes.
the possibilities of taking that model and maybe applying it to the future Marvel shows, do you see some pros and do you see some cons there? If so, what would they be?
Well, first of all, I love the idea that we can get away potentially from the standard 30-minute, 1-hour television show. As you just established, in every show, especially this is problematic with network television that has a 22-episode season, you're going to have episodes that are really just fluff and filler. You're going to have big chunks of time that, as you said, are tertiary storylines, which sometimes I'm in those tertiary storylines, so I appreciate it when the main actors take a fucking break so somebody else can get on set every once in a while. But a lot of times as an audience member, you're going, okay, this is not satisfying to me. And, we have to also remember where that 30 and 1 hour block came from. It came from advertising, because if I'm selling paper towels, then I want to put my paper towels in an advertising spot that's going to, go into this 30-minute television show. So it's actually a 22-minute television show, or an hour long, which is actually a 46-minute television show. That's how it was broken up. And we've stuck with that even into the cable world, which doesn't have standard advertising, even though they didn't need to. I'm a quality over quantity kind of gal. John, I know you're a big fan of ice cream, so maybe you'll understand this analogy. For me, I would... the idea of sitting and eating a pint of ice cream doesn't appeal to me as much as eating a small...
No, Bonerville right there.
Yeah.
Just done. Sorry,
Same.
please continue.
Fully erect.
But please continue. I didn't mean to derail your analogy. Please go on.
For me, to actually relish and do a deep dive into a small cup of gelato that is really dense and has all the flavor compacted in that tiny little cup, I don't need a pint of air and cream. I want a tiny little cup of yummy. And that to me is what television should be when it's in these streaming in these streaming networks. If it's going to be a 24-minute episode, give me 24 minutes of power, of excitement, of story. And you know what? For the longer episodes, if you have a bigger story to tell, then spread it out a little bit. I don't think that writers should be stuck to this standardized, I have to fill 30 minutes or I have to fill an hour. If your story ends at 37 minutes, but it's going to make sure that the audience is left breathless and panting and wanting more or wanting the next, can I say what happens to the first episode of Mandalorian?
Yes. Yeah, we've already done spoiler stuff.
Oh, you did?
Here, yeah.
Okay. So there was nothing that should have happened after little baby Yoda reaches his finger out. That's the end of the episode.
That's the perfect end for that episode.
Perfect ending. Now, what if that had happened at the 27-minute mark and they were like, oh my God. I mean, obviously they would have pushed something earlier in the episode. But what I'm saying is, give me all the density. If it's good, I don't care how long it is. That's my personal feeling.
And it goes back, guys, to this common misconception amongst film fans, and it's now crossing over on TV, that more is better.
No.
And it's not. Like, some people think, oh man, I hope this next X movie, whatever it is 4 hours long. It's like, why? Maybe the right runtime for that movie is 90 minutes.
Give me a bathroom break.
Yes. Maybe the right runtime for that movie is 2 hours. Maybe the right runtime, like maybe Irishman, 3 hours and 45 minutes is the right runtime. I don't know. I still haven't seen Irishman myself yet. But more does not automatically equal better. Great pacing, tight storytelling, all that kind of stuff, that makes a movie better. And if you're doing that and it still requires more time, then do it. But I would much rather have a great, well-paced, tight story, 4.5 hour story of Mandalorian, than a drawn out, over-elongated with unnecessary scenes and slower pacing 7-hour Mandalorian. More does not automatically equal better, except with ice cream.
Exactly.
I know, Chris, how would you approach this whole thing?
Yeah, more is more. And I do feel like a lot of this is much ado about nothing, to borrow a phrase from you, John, at this point in time, because we just don't have enough data to decide if this is how they're going to do their shows. And also, if you look at other networks, other streaming services, they all don't have a standard of we only do 30-minute shows. There's 30-minute shows. There are 45-minute long shows because of commercials or an hour-long slot. So this definitely could vary in everything. For The Mandalorian, 30 minutes to me is perfect for our strong and silent guy. And to borrow from an Ugnaught, I have spoken.
Wait, John, I didn't realize that you actually coined the phrase "much ado about nothing."
He's William Shakespeare.
I am. Not many people know that.
I'd heard that before, but I didn't realize that was a John Campea original.
That is a John Campea
It's a John
original.
Campea trademarked. I have to give him a nickel every time I say it.
Oh, well, gosh, you made like 30 cents today, John.
It's amazing how that works. Question here is, guys, listen, I know there's a lot of vast varying opinion about this because, I think, I admit, when I watched the first episode of Mandalorian and it ended, I was like, whoa, wait, what? Because I didn't do the thing where you pause the show when it starts so you can see the time bar and see how long it is. I just assumed, like a lot of people's going to be over now, so it was starting. But you're right. E.T. Phone Home was the perfect ending for that episode.
I love him more than most of my family.
It's Anne's lock screen on her phone.
Every time that he would come up, I would reach over and grab one of my cats and just start because in my house, all you have to do is stick an arm out and there's a cat there.
Yeah.
That's because I have so many cats. But yeah, I would have to just snuggle with something every time I saw him. Little baby Yoda.
And eating the frog. And so I think there's going to be a lot of people that if Falcon and Winter Soldier, which a lot of people are very excited about, and that first episode comes out and it turns out to be 32 minutes, I know we're going to get a repeat of that. So I want to ask you guys, what do you think about all that? Do you see the pros and do you see the cons of what happens if, and that's a huge if Marvel moves forward and does the same pattern as Mandalorian? Jump down to the comment section below and let me know your thoughts. All right, guys, with all that down and out of the way, we're now going to move on to take your live questions today. But before we do, as we like to do around here, we're going to take a short 4-minute break, stretch the legs, rest the vocal cords, refill our drinks, all that kind of stuff. So if you guys will hang tight with us for just a couple minutes, talk amongst yourselves about all this movie goodness, we will be right back. We'll see you guys in just a few moments. are back. Thank you so much, guys, for your indulgences. We took a little bit of a break, and now let's get on to the most important part of the day, and that's taking the topics and questions you guys want to ask in the live chat board. We're going to jump on over there right now, and we are going to get things started off here with, who are we starting off with? We're starting off with Shamanth, who writes, one of two. We got Hulk smash things in Avengers, Age of Ultron, and Ragnarok. I think Russo's developed the character, made him more interesting. Besides, we'll get Hulk smashing stuff in the future. If he's just a raging monster in every movie, then there's no arc for him. Completely disagree. Because what I think you're overlooking here is the fact that Hulk is not just Hulk. Hulk is also Banner. The whole essence of the character of the Hulk is that dichotomy that exists between the two, between the man and the monster. And that Hulk becomes the ultimate nuclear weapon in the MCU as set up by Loki in the original Avengers movie, and they turned him into a puff piece and a little side character, whatever. What the Russos did, and I love what the Russos did with Infinity War and Endgame, don't get me wrong, but what the Russos did with the Hulk character is they took away the very core heart and essence of the character. By removing that dichotomy between man and monster, by removing the wall and the barrier between Banner and Hulk, they essentially just neutered what was so essential to who that character and what that character is. It's like having Superman and saying he doesn't fly. Remember, Tim Burton originally didn't want to have Superman fly in the Superman movie? Mm-hmm. It's like having Superman and not having him being able to fly. It's just such a core part of it. That's what gives interest and depth to that character. And I thought what they did with the Professor Hulk stuff was just a shtick. I applaud them for doing something different and out of the box. And I don't want filmmakers to not try something different. And they did, but some of the things they try are great successes. Some of the things they try are not. That's just kind of my thoughts on that. All right, Disney Milk Machine writes, Disney forced Hateful Eight out of Cinema Dome. That story was kind of misinterpreted and mistold, because when you hear it told from Disney's point of view, it's not, and by the way, films push other films out of theaters all the time, so that's a little bit of a misnomer. Gabriel Reed writes, the fattest night at King Arthur's table was, wait for it, circumference. He acquired his size from too much pie. P-I pie. Well done, Gabriel. Teddy Wren writes, can Deathpool gag exposition anything away? Not quite sure what it is you're saying there, Teddy. Sorry about that, man. Gabriel writes, what has two butts and kills people and ass in?
An assassin.
An assassin. Ass in. Get
Gabriel,
it?
Reed, you're my kind of bro.
I like it.
Disney Milk Machine writes, using new laws, they are ready to bully more movies. Well, listen, these laws, I'm not going to go into it in depth here, but we talked about it on the show the other day, guys, that there are these new laws. Not new laws, sorry. There have been laws that have been around since like the 40s or 30s and something like that. I can't remember the exact year that it came in, called the Paramount something decrees. Basically, it prevented monopoly-like behavior from the studios and the power they exerted over the movie theaters, forcing movie theaters that if you want this movie in your theater, you got to take these 3 other crappy movies we got too, and you got to put them in your theater as well. Or saying you can only show our movie in this thing, you can't let one of the other blockbusters in. And it looks like the Justice Department is going to take those laws down. And if you're interested in knowing more, guys, go check out the discussion Robert Meyer Burnett and I had on the show. I believe it was yesterday we talked about it, and it's a dangerous, dangerous time. And all studios are going to totally milk this, and it's bad for the consumers. It's just ultimately bad for the consumer. Chris Parsons writes, between these 3, who gave the best Sinister voice? David Spade. Spader in Age of Ultron. Who, Aaron, you were in Blacklist. You were in Spader's show Blacklist.
I was so mad that I didn't get any scenes with him. I was like, oh.
Yeah, all your scenes were with
Megan.
With the main lead.
Yeah.
The main lead girl.
And she's fantastic. But, God, I have watched Secretary more times than I think anyone should know. And I was very upset that I didn't get a chance to meet him.
Sorry, I didn't finish the question. Okay, so Spader as Ultron, Cumberbatch as Smaug, or Curry as Lord of Darkness. You know, I love Cumberbatch's Smaug, but I mean, that was a very small sample size, and he did a great job. I gotta go Spader as Ultron. He brought so much character to that, I thought. So I don't know. Either you guys have thoughts on that? Curry as Lord of Darkness,
all day,
Cumberbatch?
Every day, yes.
All right, so there's that one vote for Curry. Do you have a preference out of any of those, Aaron? Deep in thought.
No, I feel like they all do such distinctive work, and it's hard to put one above the other. I think they're all so good.
All right, Teddy Wren writes, in something like the MCU, he would be a small doses character, or you're talking about Deadpool. He would be a small doses character anyway. Why not jump between the ratings? OUAD. I'm not quite sure what that is. Once upon a Deadpool. That's right. Was a template? No, the censorship is a gag. Here's the problem with that, Teddy, and this is what a lot of people say, and they're missing Bob Iger's overall point. A lot of people say, we'll just have the standalone Deadpool movies be rated R and then bring him into the MCU and have him PG-13. Bob Iger's big problem with that, and this is why he's smarter than all of us. Bob Iger's thing is that Bob Iger will protect his relationship with his consumer base at all costs. And the trust, pardon me, I got something stuck in my throat.
You get really emotional about Bob Iger.
I get so when I think about Bob Iger.
He has trust with his fan base.
Bob, he will do nothing that risks that. And his big thing, and he's brought this up before, is his concern is this. If you have Deadpool showing up in an Ant-Man movie, hey, Ant-Man, I'm Deadpool, and it's family friendly. I mean, not G-rated, but it's family friendly. Not kid targeted, but family friendly. Hey, blah, 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 blah. Then parents see, oh, now that character that we saw in Ant-Man, he's got his own movie. I can take my kids and I can do, and he's like, his big thing is, no, we are not going to cause that kind of confusion with our audience. We are going to clearly label what this is or isn't. So they need to make a decision. Bob Iger's kind of passed down, and what Feige's going to decide to do, I'm not sure. But they need to make a decision about, is Deadpool going to be rated R or is he going to be a PG character? They're not. I don't believe they're going to have him straddling one foot in both worlds. Yeah. Maybe they will if Bob Iger has a change of heart. So that can happen. But unless he has a change of heart, that's a decision that Kevin Feige's got to make. So I don't know, Aaron. Like, should they take him rated R? Should they take him PG-13? Do you think they can just have him bounce back and forth between the two?
No, I don't. I mean, that's one of the things that people love about Deadpool is that he is rated R. Like the whole thing is just. You never know what's going to be said. You never know what's going to happen, but you know that it's going to be something that's going to go, oh, shit. And we can't bleep him. So, no, I don't think there should be a crossover. I'm with Bob Iger on this one.
Chris?
100% no. And you already see parents making this dumb mistake with art imitating life. But they're like, I think he's Spider-Man. And then you get into the theater and you're like, well, this is going to be a very interesting car ride home for you all.
Mom, what's International Women's Day? Yeah. It does, again, and we who read the movie websites and who watch movie-related YouTube channels, of course, to us, it's just clear as day, blah, blah, but we got to remember the vast majority of the movie-going audience do not tune into this stuff, and it's like, oh, Deadpool was in that, and that was fun, he did something with Spider-Man, okay, so now we can go see this other one. It's that type of confusion that Bob Iger has spoken about over and over and over again and said he doesn't want to have happen. So he could have a change of heart. Otherwise, they got to make a decision. All right. Next up. This is a placeholder name writes, one of two. If every show is 30 minutes, I feel like the shows won't be as fleshed out as, say, Daredevil or Runaways. It's like making a drama movie 90 minutes, 2 of 2. You can do it, but it usually takes more time. I 1,000% disagree with you on that. That's saying storytelling is a pure formula.
Yeah.
Mix flour, mix milk, insert to oven, 35 minutes, bing! And that's just not how storytelling works. Every story has its own unique pacing. And if to say that, listen, if Mandalorian ends up being 30 to 35 to 40 minutes per episode, as it looks like it will, then by the time it's done, we're going to get 4.5 hours of story. Are you telling me that there has never been a film released in Hollywood history that has truly fleshed out their characters and truly did a good job telling the story? Because those are all under 4.5 hours. So I 1,000% disagree with you. I think, yes, there are more limits, but it forces you to really focus in on what's important, focus in on your pacing, focus in on what's vital to this story and what isn't. Again, more isn't better. It can be under the right circumstances, but it doesn't necessarily have to be. Chris, how would you respond to that?
Again, more is more. It doesn't matter. Focus on your storytelling. Do your job. Time limits and time constraints should not factor into your storytelling. You either do it in this amount of time or you don't tell it correctly, you know? Your story is going to kind of dictate where you go. The time limit should.
And if you're a storyteller and you can't tell your story in 4.5 hours, then I don't know, like filmmakers step in and do it in 2 hours. So I don't know, Aaron, what do you
John,
think?
I really think that what you're talking about is the way that you're phrasing it is so important and powerful. I think people need to focus on that. Is these aren't 30-minute shows. They are 4.5 hour stories broken up into acts. So if you're binging it, you really are watching a 4 hour or 4.5 hour film, just with a little bit of a break in between so that Aaron can go to the bathroom. And if we look at it like that and stop focusing on this episode's only 30 minutes, think of it as an act. Act 1 is 30 minutes, Act 2 is 30 minutes, and when you go back and rewatch the whole thing and binge it, which everybody probably will, then it's going to come together as, oh my God, I just spent the last 4.5 hours watching some tight, really well done, beautifully produced, beautifully performed, and incredibly written art. Instead of, it kind of dragged at times. And because when you watch it all together, you have to understand in our binge culture that we're currently living, people don't have time for lag and drag. They're just going to tune out and they're going to watch something else. There's too much programming. So don't think of it as a 30-minute episode. Think of it as one big chunk broken up into acts.
All right. Next up writes Christopher Chow, who says, "Hey, John, if alive, what would Walt Disney think about his company now? Proud that it's gotten so big, or sad that it's become a money-eating machine versus introducing innovative animation and ideas?" Well, first of all, Chris, I think you have an incredibly flawed premise to the question. Disney is doing some amazing innovative things in their storytelling through their different divisions, particularly Pixar and whatnot. We got 2 incredibly original, creative Pixar films coming out within the next year in Soul and Onward. I'm really excited about Onward, and Soul looks really good too. So I think there's a fundamental flaw in your thing there. I don't know what Walt Disney would think about his company today. I really don't. Look, you don't have to know a ton about Walt Disney to know, besides being a visionary genius and all that kind of stuff, he had some character flaws too. That we won't talk about here. I'm just saying. So I'm not really sure. But then again, I am not a Disney historian, so I mean, I really don't know. But anyway, that's my thoughts on that. LSC writes, pros: it's movie quality. Cons: I want more. But isn't that kind of a pro? You know, when you like, isn't
leave
that
them wanting more?
Because I'm telling you, I really liked the first episode of Mandalorian. I wasn't desperately in love with it, but I really liked the first episode. But I'll tell you what, when it ended, I'm like, but where's episode 2? I was salivating. And then when episode 2 ended, I was like out of my mind. When's the next episode? Not till Friday. Anyway, so is maybe leaving them wanting more is a good thing?
Yeah, it's a good thing. It's always a good thing.
It's a good thing. Unless, I'm not going to say what I was about to say. All right. Karam Mashub writes, very disappointed with The Irishman. Ooh, you're the first person I've heard say that. Martin did not present anything new. Monotone film, monotone characters, too long, almost no intense conversations or scenes. Pacino was the saving grace of the film. Now, the one thing you just said there, Karam, that I have heard before is that I am hearing from some people that even desperately love this movie saying, the movie's great, it's made, it didn't need to be this long. Like, I'm hearing that from a lot of people, even the ones that love it the most. But I haven't seen it myself, Cram, but I'm hearing glowing things from people who've seen that they really, really love this movie. Although the length is another one. But hey, man, that's why film is subjective. I know neither one of you guys have had a chance to see Irishman yet, right? Yeah, it's going to be popping up on Netflix the next couple of days. So for those of you who can't get to a theater to see it, but
how long is it?
I think somewhere between 3:30 and 3:45 or something like that.
Watching it at home.
Yeah. It's definitely a watch at home film. All right, thanks for sharing your thoughts on that, Karam. All right, Ant Banks 1984 writes, so a studio executive thought it would be a good idea for Julia Roberts to play Harriet Tubman. That's like if they had white guys playing Native Americans in the TV show F Troop. Oh, wait, they did. So what this has been going around, this has been getting too much play because this is an irrelevant story. Listen, with every single movie ever made and all the people who are involved, somebody at some point comes up with a really stupid idea. And guess what? There's a place for stupid ideas because they help you refine the better ideas. and help you really focus more on better ideas. Like that's why you get these big creative meetings. People say, listen, no dumb idea. Just throw out whatever idea you have. And within the process of making big projects, a lot of dumb ideas are made. Now, so this thing, Harriet, which is now in theaters, there was an executive at one point who made the suggestion, you know what? A lot of people don't even know the historical story of Harriet anyway, so let's get Julia Roberts amazing. She would be incredible in this role. Okay, so that was a dumb idea that came up. What did not happen was that tons of people at the studio liked the idea. They actually started to work it out, and they started negotiating with Julia Roberts, and they came within this close of actually filming it. No, that didn't happen. One guy made one idiot suggestion at one time and then moved on. Guess what? It happens every single day. So as monumentally idiotic as it is, it's just one more bad idea that got left on the floor. I don't know. Did you guys hear about this story?
Yeah, and like if it had gotten to makeup tests, then yeah, woof. But just because some
Aaron seems to have a
dumb
thought
man
on this.
said a thing about like one guy, and now it's circulating everywhere. Get Julia
But it was
Roberts'
stupid.
name out of your mouth. Stop it.
Okay, Aaron, what you're going to say you thought it was a good idea?
I'm actually mad.
You were up for the role of Harriet. There it is.
Julia. No, here's why it is a big deal to a lot of people and to me, because when I first heard this, number one, the studio executive was not just like a random schmo executive. What the story that I heard was that it was like the head of the studio, number one. So it's like someone who is at that in that kind of position of power is saying something like that, and then when also, what I was told is the person who pointed it out was the one black person in the room who said, excuse me, Harriet Tubman was black. And then the response to that was, well, it was so long ago, no one will really know that. And so it's this, and this is why, we've had conversations on this show about the importance of diversity in gender equity, in representation, and the fact of the matter is, when you have rooms that don't include people of color, people of women, transgender, homosexual, whatever, when you don't have representation, there are going to be a group of homogenous people sitting around throwing out ideas and going, oh, I don't know, maybe that would be a good idea. And in these meetings, it really becomes a thing of whoever's voice is loudest, people just start jumping on, and that's why stupid decisions actually do get made. So this comes to the point of representation. It's not just a stupid idea that was bandied about that never actually came to fruition. It was the fact that the one person of color in the room immediately put a stop to it. And then on top of that, that conversation happened 25 years ago. Why did it take 25 years for Harriet to be made just because Julia Roberts wasn't going to play that role?
Well, okay, to be fair, though, it took Gemini Man 20 plus years to get made. It takes lots of movies X number of years to get made. It's not always because of that.
Gemini Man was also originally going to be Julia Roberts. So. It's pretty crazy.
God, I love you, Chris Carr.
I miss you. I miss you so much, bud.
I love you so much. I love you so much.
I
I
think
understand.
this is an
Yes,
idea
a lot
that never
of
would have
movies
come
are
to fruition
shelved and in
anyway.
development and blah 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 blah. But that's one of the reasons why I think it is getting so much heat, is because it's bringing up issues of representation, and also like there are not a lot of stories that focus on a black woman as the hero.
No,
Even in The Help, you've got the white savior bullshit.
Don't go to the
So
Help. I think
with
is
Harriet,
brilliant.
like this is a film that there are, any number of brilliant African-American actresses could have played this role over the years, potentially making, Halle Berry's Oscar win something that would have been one in a long line of, and so it's just the fact that we're just now getting to a point where people go, maybe a historical film about a black woman actually could make us money. Now that, that people have all of a sudden realized that people want to go pay money to watch black people on film, now the studios are like, yeah, let's jump on board.
But everything you're saying, Aaron, is something I already agree with was that it was a stupid thing to say.
Oh, yeah, I'm not
and it was
saying-
a stupid, dumb idea. I just don't
Yeah.
think it ever would have come to fruition. I think even
no,
in
no,
the
no, no, no.
tone-deaf rooms of the big studios, and they can be very tone-deaf, I think even in those tone-deaf, this was an idea that was so especially stupid, I don't think it ever would have seen the light of day.
I agree with you. I do think, though, that we've seen a lot of things. I mean, look at all the whitewashing in Hollywood. I mean, without the representation. I mean, look at what a Breakfast at Tiffany's when what's his face was playing
Mickey Rooney.
When Mickey Rooney was playing, like Mickey Rooney playing an Asian character with his eyes slanted and with the weird
Fake teeth.
accent, the fake teeth. Like those decisions have happened.
Sure, but we've come a long way from Breakfast at Tiffany's.
25 years ago, we weren't that far away from Breakfast
I know,
at
but
Tiffany's.
a lot of people watching the show weren't even alive when 25 years ago. You know, I'm just saying.
Right,
this,
but when this happened, you're
Right.
saying there's no way it could have come to fruition, and I'm saying
but
maybe if when Breakfast at Tiffany's happened, they were like, well, if Mickey Rooney can play an Asian guy, then maybe Julia Roberts can play a black girl.
I don't know. I don't see any reality where that would
Now,
have come to
of course not.
But even just 25 years ago, like 50 years ago, maybe 60 years ago, maybe. I don't know that in the 80s that would have come to pass, or the 90s that it would have come to pass. But listen,
I'm not saying it would have or wouldn't have. All I'm saying is this is why representation in rooms matters.
All right, we spent way too much time on this. We got to keep moving here. Carlos Eskimo writes, who would win in a fight, Dr. Manhattan or the Genie? Oh, the Genie. The Genie has unlimited cosmic power. Dr. Manhattan by
So does he.
by human standards, what we've seen in Heroes before, it is perceived as that, but the Genie himself is all unlimited cosmic power. And I think by perception, Dr. Manhattan, so I'm going to take the Genie. I think the Genie wins that fight.
He becomes God and he's got BDE. Dr. Manhattan.
I think he becomes godlike. I think he becomes
Does
god.
BDE stand for Big Dick
Big
Energy?
Dick Energy. You see
Oh,
it swinging
okay.
about in the
I
movie
knew
and the
that. I
comics.
knew that.
All right.
We're talking about the Genie from
I'm going to
Aladdin,
say
right?
the Genie.
Will Smith?
I'm going to say the Genie. Although you can make an argument. By the way, I'm still waiting for him to pop up in
in Watchmen?
Watchmen.
Speaking of
Yeah.
BDE.
Speaking of Big D, yeah. Hector Jeter writes, I don't mind the short length of these episodes. After rewatching them like 6 times each, I feel like I wouldn't have been able to watch them 6 times each if they were longer, in my opinion.
Good point.
That is one of the advantages. Hector also writes, oh, by the way, thank you. Leaving the Hustlers
leaving.
spoiler discussion tab on the Discord. We're all still discussing about that movie. I have spoken. Yeah, on our Discord thing, we still have Hustlers up as one of the things. But don't worry, Fact Checker Jonathan is going to be updating for those the Patreon supporters who are part of our Discord server, and we have a great Discord server, and all of our Patreons are on it. Fact Checker Jonathan is going to start updating the spoiler section, so keep your eyes open for that. Let's see. Carlos Eskimo writes, if you guys were given one movie wish, and that wish was to have the movie studios greenlight and make a sequel to any franchise you wanted, what would you pick? I would pick Independence Day 3. LOL. I'm gonna call you for being a little bit facetious there, Carlos Eskimo. Listen, my answer to this question has never changed. It's Mystery Men 2.
That's a good one.
That will always be the one. Mm-hmm. That was a movie that was so far ahead of its time. And if not that, then a reboot or sequel of Megaforce. Life is like a wheel. It all comes around. Rob hates that movie. But yeah, I've always thought Mystery Men 2 would be the movie to do, particularly in today's movie culture. Aaron, do you got one?
So is this any movie that we would want a sequel made
Yeah.
to? Oh, Steel Magnolias.
Oh, really?
Yes, and I would want to be Olympia Dukakis's granddaughter.
Ooh.
Oh my God.
What about you, Chris?
Oh, most of mine have already happened because I wanted more Dark Crystal, and that happened.
Oh my God!
And
Can I just say, to pause again to remind everybody how awesome that
Age
show
of
is?
Resistance is so good. Watch it.
I was
watch
so
it
impressed.
again and again. And then Willow is greenlit for a sequel, isn't it?
Yeah, they're developing.
Yeah.
I'm still not really clear. Is it a true? I'm not clear on. I got to look into that.
think
But
that's
that's
Chris, you have
kinda-
all the good ideas. Why are you not working at a studio?
Everyone, give me your money. I'm right about all of my movie projections, and I love Muppets. Just
You're definitely
give me your
someone that
money.
should be working in a studio more so than some of these people.
yeah.
Superman Steve writes, John, it's my birthday today. Happy birthday, Superman Steve.
birthday!
And I'm going to celebrate by watching Knives Out. Nice.
Oh, nice.
I'm seeing it tomorrow. I'm seeing Knives Out tomorrow, so I'm
jealous.
so stoked about that. Happy birthday, Superman Steve. May you have a glorious day and a glorious year of triumph and victory ahead of you. Benny95 sends in a really large super chat. Thank you for that, Benny95, who writes, hey, John, about my comment yesterday on timestamps. I meant no insult by it. I was just curious. However, from your reply, I could tell that it annoyed you. I know what you're talking about. So I do apologize. I had really bad day. Oh, listen, Benny, if you're the guy who, okay, if I'm thinking of this right, I think, Benny, if you're the one who did this, somebody wrote on one of my videos, hey, John, you put in the topics. Have you thought about putting in timestamps in the description of the video on YouTube?
Oh.
To which I said, hey, listen, you yourself can actually put in timestamps if you think that would be useful. I wasn't annoyed at all. I didn't.
Well, you know what? If you think it'd be so useful, you put in a fucking timestamp. That's how Benny was having a bad day, and that's how he read it in his head. And I get it, Benny. I do the same thing.
Yeah,
you put in a timestamps.
No,
I don't have time to do timestamps.
No,
I'm running a YouTube show here.
No, I was just saying. No, hey, listen, you can act. That's one of the cool things about the comments in YouTube videos. Is that even in the comments, you can write in a time code, and that time code will become a clickable link that other people can say. So somebody can say, I love that moment at 59 minutes and 18 seconds. And so another person can just, what was that? And click on 58 minutes and 18 seconds, and the video will go right to that point for them. So here's the thing. A lot of people, so in answer to the question was like, if I put in the description, why don't I just add the timestamps? Well, remember, these shows are not pre-recorded. I can't put in what time something is at before the show happens. I can write in what the topics are going to be.
You'd have to go back and rewatch the entire. That's a
and you have
big
to
process.
understand by the time we wrap the show and I say, and until next time, bye-bye. By the time that happens, here it's 11:30 in the morning. It's at the latest about 11:30 in the morning. And I have literally been working on today's show for about 5 to 6 hours already. And so when when the show ends, the next thing I have to do is edit out all the segments and upload them to the server so Ray can take those and then publish the individual segments after I edit them and all that kind of stuff. So now you're talking about 12:30. I've been going 6.5 hours, close to 7 hours in some days. What I personally am not going to do at that point is then spend another 20 minutes to go through the video and get the individual time markers. Because first of all, that's not how I want people to watch my videos. I mean, you're free to do that. Plus, on top of that, we put in big, massive visual cues. We put in these, like, one of the purposes of me putting in these big, massive visual cues. So it's like, I want to see at what point they're talking about Solo. Well, that's very easy to find on your own. But also, I kind of prefer people watching my shows from start to finish. I mean, you don't have to do it that way. But one of the cool things is that any viewer at all who does like the idea of timestamps, anybody is free to go in and create a comment with the timestamps if you so choose. And I've seen a lot of people do that as well. So anyway, Benny, your comment didn't annoy me at all by any stretch of the imagination, even in the least. I was just pointing out something really cool that you actually have the power to do that if you'd like to do that.
But we hope that your day got better. Because
Yes.
we know all about bad days, Benny. We get it.
Oh my God,
Hope
yes.
your day is
People
much
just use
better today.
the timestamps anyway, usually to point out how bad my accent is. So
or
that's
on
what they do at Nerdwire.
MrStern.com.
I know everything about bad days. Me and the relationship with this thing. Anyway, I'll talk more about that later, another time. Okay, let's keep on moving here. Next topic comes to us from Jay Master, who writes, hi, John and crew. Have you guys caught up with The World According to Jeff Goldblum? We were just talking about that before the show started. On the second episode, Ice Cream, also new episodes of The Mandalorian and The World According to Jeff Goldblum. I am not caught up. I've still only watched the first episode, which is on sneakers. Now listen, my brother-in-law Ray, my buddy Ryan, my friend Matt, who drew the caricatures for Dark Side, Light Side. Matt particularly is massively sneaker obsessed. I got friends who are really sneaker obsessed. I'm not. I buy one pair of Skechers, I wear it for 2 years. Done. So that's.
I'm not even a sneakerhead, and I'm
like one pair of shoes until there's a hole burying through the bottom of my foot, and my foot is touching concrete.
God, you and
then
Tom.
I buy a new shoe. Then I buy a new shoe. But the first episode was so fascinating. I loved it. I thought it was great, and I cannot wait for the second, but I haven't caught up. But you've seen the first episode.
Yes.
Did you see the second one?
I saw both of them.
You saw both
Of course I did. Jeff Goldblum's my husband.
What did you think?
Oh my gosh, I love him so much. A friend of mine pointed out, though, who's an editor, how crazy must it be to edit around Jeff Goldblum and his antics, of him just doing whatever he wants. That's the real hero. But the show is so charming, and the ice cream one, you guys are going to just adore. They go and hang out with Ben and Jerry, and I learned something that I had no idea about with their ice cream, and it's so fun. It's such a fun
There's
episode.
Soylent Green in it?
There's soup
Yes,
goop in it.
it's people.
Soup Goop. Wait, please tell me that Jeff Goldblum is getting his own Ben and Jerry's ice cream flavor.
No,
Don't
one
say
should-
anything. Don't say anything.
Okay.
Don't say anything. Because he
No
does.
one should soup goop in a pint either. That's mean. Don't do it.
Okay, anyway, let's move on. Benny95 follows up and writes, thank you, though, for the hard work you put in, and I'll continue to support the channel. Have a great day, you guys, and a weekend ahead. Well, thank you so much for
like
that, Benny.
Benny.
Yeah.
And again, no, really, seriously, buddy, you totally misinterpreted
We love
what I
you,
wrote.
Benny.
Yeah, so no problem about Denny, and I hope you have a great week as well. All right, kick it to the king writes, what will we see first, the Snyder Cut or Colin Kaepernick back in the NFL? Also, been watching the Spider-Man 1994 series on Disney Plus. Love the HD remaster. I don't think we're going to see. So listen, I really don't think we're going to see Colin Kaepernick back in the NFL. Frankly, I just don't think he's a good enough quarterback.
Did you see his Saturday practice?
Yeah.
He's simply not. I've seen him play. He's simply not that. He's the next RG3. He's a lot of flash. He never should have been the starting quarterback of the San Francisco 49ers. They had a great starting quarterback who got them almost undefeated. And I just, quite frankly, look, when I look at guys today like Jackson, Patrick Mahomes, and quarterbacks like that who have all that athletic ability, but they also have, like when you look at Jackson, you look at Mahomes, these guys have much higher football IQs. And they just know the game better. They feel the game better. And Kaepernick's got a lot of physical weapons, but I just didn't think he was a good game general. And now, something that they said on Pardon the Interruption, which I will agree with, they said, could Colin Kaepernick today be considered one of the top 100 quarterbacks? Because you consider every team has 3 or 4 quarterbacks on a depth chart, all that kind of stuff. I'll say yes. Yeah. He could be a third string quarterback, or on maybe a team that's hurting a bit, he could be a decent backup option on a team. But I would not have him as a start. I just never thought he was that good. Like there's a lot of quarterbacks today I would take first. A ton of them I would take first. So I simply don't think.
So you're saying in the entire NFL, if you lined up every quarterback, starting and all the way, that you might consider Colin Kaepernick worthy
I think
of
he could
being
be a third or second string quarterback somewhere, maybe. Yeah, but he's not so good. It's like, here's the problem. It becomes the same problem that remember the Tim Tebow scenario? Mm-hmm. Tim Tebow was clearly good enough to be a top 100 quarterback, to be a second or third string quarterback on a lot of teams. The problem with Tim Tebow was
he was a virgin.
And I
Sorry.
And by the way, I loved watching Tim Tebow. I was all about Tebow time. I really was. But it was true. They would say, like, the problem with him is it becomes a major distraction on the team just having him there. And I remember when he got signed to be like a backup, a third string quarterback on I think it was the Jets. He was like signed to be a second, third string quarterback. And the whole practice facility became a massive circus with the media, because nobody was talking about the team. Nobody was focusing on football. They were all there talking about Tim Tebow, and it became a massive distraction for the team. And I got it. Even though I'm a Tebow time guy, I understood. It was just, so is it worth, if Colin Kaepernick was a true legit starting NFL star quarterback, is the little bit of the circus that comes along with him worth it? Yes. Is it worth it for a second or third string quarterback that clearly doesn't really even, I think, have much interest in playing in the NFL anyway? Probably not.
What do you mean he doesn't have much interest in playing in the NFL?
I think, like, for instance, I think a lot of his recent workouts, it was all a stunt, because the last minute.
I think a stunt by the NFL. I don't think a stunt by him.
Do you hear what happened? Like, he set up he set up a workout, then last second he changed the location of the workout. And then to the point that only 8 of the teams could show up because he made that decision. And it's like, okay, so this is clearly, he doesn't, and that's why a lot of the NFL coaches, like, we just don't believe he actually even wants to play. So
I just think that considering the vast number of NFL players who have been arrested and for beating the crap out of their wives or their girlfriends or all
Dog
these
fighting.
other cockfighting, dog fight, like all of this shit. And then the one NFL player who actually takes a stand against something that is a tragedy in our country and needs to be addressed, that he's the guy that gets punished the most.
No,
I
see. This is the thing. He's out because no team wanted him. He's just not good enough. He's just not that good.
Well, he was good enough to make it before that. I mean, clearly it
But
wasn't
so
until he
was
started
RG3.
taking.
So was RG3.
It wasn't
and
until
so
he started
was-
taking a knee that all of a sudden he wasn't good enough.
No, his teams started losing even before that happened. I mean, that's the like after that one run. That anyway, we need to move on from this. We're spending way too much time on this.
Go Cap.
Anyway. Get better, Cap, and maybe you deserve a job. Let's see. Where are we
With
at?
Tua injured, kick it to the
Tua
king.
injured. Oh yeah, with the
We're still
Alabama
in the
quarterback.
NFL.
No,
This is a sports show.
this is actually college now. With Tua injured, he's the Alabama quarterback.
Right, but he's talking about the NFL draft. Sorry.
You crossing your fingers, he falls to the Patriots in the 2020 NFL draft. I don't believe he'll pan out in the NFL, but New England, wow. Yeah, so Tua is an interesting story for even those of you who aren't sports fans.
Like everybody watching?
Yeah, so
I'm just
Alabama
kidding.
a couple years ago goes to the national title game, and they've got this quarterback Jalen, who was their starting quarterback, took them to I believe they were an undefeated season. They may have had one loss that year, whatever. Went to the national finals, and they were in the national championship game, and they got their starting quarterback. And the first half of the championship game was not going their way. So Coach Nick Saban
I love Nick
makes
Saban.
an unbelievable ballsy call. He takes their top number one national sensation quarterback, who was their starter the entire year, took them into the championship game, and decided at halftime to pull him out and put their backup quarterback, Tua, in. The rest is a movie. Tua came out in the second half and led them to the win in the national championship, lighting things up and all that kind of stuff. And it's a movie-like story.
Speaking of movies,
It's a movie-like story.
tune in next week where John's spin-off series, the John Campea Sports Show, will talk about
I
all
know.
this stuff all you want. Anyway, back to movies.
But I will say this.
Yay, sports ball.
He's another guy like Tebow. I think I wonder, as much I love watching Tua play, but I don't know if his tool set is better suited for the college game than it is for the pro game. We've seen a lot of top tier college quarterbacks come out of college and go into the NFL, and then they just didn't work out in the NFL because it's a different game. So I don't know. But if he ends up
It's like movie actors moving to television.
there you go.
It's
Way to
not
cross-
good.
way to cross the
It's not
streams.
good.
But,
I've seen it too many times. It's not good.
I will say this, under
Just
the
'cause you can be a movie
tutelage-
star doesn't mean you know how to do TV. We go fast.
Under the tutelage of Darth Belichick at New England, he could turn out to be something very special. All right.
I
Don't
finally
you-
knew what one of the
Belichick?
words in this was.
Bill Belichick is a.
Yeah, I love Bill Belichick with his evil emperor hood on. So I was thinking, it
Sports
is
ball.
possible the original design of Sonic was just a PR stunt and was never going to be the final design. Maybe smart marketing. Listen, Doshi, as crazy as that sounds, that's not an unpopular theory right now. There are some people who believing that the original design was purposely done that to get everybody talking about Sonic, a movie that looks like garbage, and do that. So it could, I don't think it is personally, but there's a lot of people who say that, and I'm saying it's not the crazy. We've seen crazier PR stunts in the business before. Imran Islam writes, if Walter Hamada wanted to, could he have the Snyder Cut finished and released on HBO Max? Can he make that decision, or is that a WB call to make? That is a corporate level decision, because there's corporate identity wide ramifications to it. So let's put it this way. I think Walter Hamada would have to be behind it, and then maybe it could get done. And if Hamada's not for it, then it'll never move up the chain. So I do believe he'd be part of that chain. Helen Maris writes, 1 of 4. I think you're wrong about Kathleen Kennedy's comments about source material. Even though Star Wars is owned by Disney, stories from the EU novels still belong to their authors, and Disney would have to pay them for using their ideas, and we know they don't want to share their profits if not necessary. If they did, we would have enough standalone film by now. Why would they pay for old ideas when they can come up with new ones for free? With Thrawn, they canonized him by bringing Zahn back and giving him 3 more novels, and I bet it was a condition for them to use him in Rebels. I 100% disagree with you.
She has another follow-up.
Oh, is there a 5th one?
Yeah.
P.S. Disney didn't make contracts for books for EU, so I doubt there was a clause that time that they could use the stories for film or TV. Okay, here's a couple reasons why I completely disagree with you on that. Number one, the money you would have to pay as a subsidiary offshoot of royalties to a book writer as opposed to a Universal Studios that has the distribution rights to your character, the Hulk, is a monumental difference. It's not an apples to apples comparison. It's a huge financial difference. And to Disney, if they want to use an idea, kicking $150,000 to some writer or whatever, that's nothing. That's lunch. That's lunch. So that's no big deal whatsoever. The reason I think the main reason they don't go more into the EU stuff, because most of the EU stuff is total garbage. Most of the Star Wars Extended Universe stuff, that, by the way, it was so much garbage that even George Lucas said he paid no attention to the EU. None. Dave Filoni tells that story about George Lucas said, I've completely discarded the EU. None of it is real to them. Now, that doesn't mean there aren't some things that you can cherry pick from. We've already seen them starting to cherry pick, and Thrawn's not the only example. They've cherry picked other things and brought them over too. So, no, I do not believe for 1 second it's because they might have to cut a little bit of a check to some writer somewhere about something. If it's something they wanted to do, again, that's one round of golf that Bob Iger is going to play next weekend. It's really not that big of a, I don't know. How do you guys see that?
I 100% agree with that. They have so much money. They've got more money than God or Oprah. They can do whatever they want.
God or Oprah. And sometimes the two are interchangeable. Yeah. All right. Maya Demi writes, finally, I got over my disappointment over no racing I get it. I finally got over my disappointment over no racing cinematic universe. LOL. I love 4v Ferrari and didn't know the story and was glued to the screen. So Maya the other day made a comment I was totally disappointed when I sat through the credits of Ford v Ferrari and there wasn't a post-credit scene introducing us to a racing cinematic universe, which I thought was really funny.
That's funny.
Have either of you guys yet had a chance to see Ford v Ferrari?
No.
So good.
Yeah,
so good. It was right now it's my number 4 best movie of the year.
Ooh.
I really it lived up to every expectation I had, and I think there is a chance, just a chance, I'm not saying it's going to happen, but that we could see for the first time in a long time 2 actors from the same movie, both nominated for Best Lead Actor at the Academy Awards. There is a chance that could happen. I'm just saying. Don't be surprised if it does. All right, but it is going to be a stacked category this year. Mm-hmm. Brandon Entwistle writes, I finally got Disney Plus here in New Zealand for $9.99 monthly. The next day, I get a notification from Netflix that my subscription is increasing $3.50 to $21.99 monthly.
Ooh,
not very competitive. Well, okay, let me say this, though. If you think Disney has a lot of content on Disney Plus, it's dwarfed by the amount of content that's on Netflix. Mm-hmm. Netflix has so much more content. And they've been around for over a decade, so sure. But what you're getting in a value comparison, I would argue, is actually still very competitive because there is so much, not just all their original stuff, but there is so much stuff you can watch on Netflix. It is a massive, massive library. And I would argue that that's still pretty reasonable because they probably have 5-10 times the amount of content that Disney does. And so relatively, it's about twice the price for like 5 times more content. I don't know. I still consider that a value proposition a little bit.
And also, when you think about the cut the cord,
the cord cutter movement,
mm-hmm. I mean, I remember at one point, my cable bill, and I didn't even have all the fancy extra stuff. It was well over $100 a month.
Yeah, but that was all the porn pay-per-view you were getting. You keep forgetting that counts. You actually had to pay for that. It wasn't free.
There's certain things that are in our Fine.
Is that
You're not
private?
supposed
Sorry, I should keep that quiet.
That's private, John.
But now she has Pornhub. It's fine. Stop kink shaming on this show.
Exactly.
No kink shaming.
So, like when you combine all of the, I'm paying $21.99 for this, I'm paying $9.99 for that. When you combine all of those things, it's still not probably going to add up to what we were paying when we all had cords and we were just getting HBO and Cinemax package. We weren't getting that much content and we were paying so much money and we weren't even thinking about it because that was our only option. Now that we have all these multiple streaming networks, I agree with you. You can't compare the two without looking at the content that they have. And I look at it as a whole. I go, okay, if I want all of this programming and I add it all up, it's still not costing as much as all my porn did. Because now I get that for free. Yeah. Thanks, Internet.
Thanks, Internet.
I was talking to my dad about this the other day. He
Porn?
was talking
YouJizz.com.
not about porn, you guys. Gosh, I'm trying to tether us back. So I was talking to him about cable because he was asking me about all these streaming services, and my mom's not really good with tech. And so I think I still have to keep cable because your mom doesn't understand how to use different remotes.
Is that just a mom thing?
I think so. I think it's just a mom.
My
she
mom's
has
like,
the one you
what's
can
the
talk
address
into
bar?
too.
Where do I put the www?
She has the remote that you talk to, and she'll be like, Law and Order. Law and Order. God. Mom, just come here.
Boom.
Law and Order SUV.
SUV. Where is it? But they're paying like $300 a month for some premium cable package. And I was just adding up my stuff right now. And I think with everything, maybe for the year, I'm circling around like $425, $500. And that is not bad at all
for the year.
12 months. Come on. And especially, I know for all of us, it's a write-off because we have to have a lot of these for our job. But guys, when you compare that, there's no denying the value of all these streaming services.
What a lot of people have put out, and this has been interesting, they've put in like a full list of all the streaming services, and if you have them all, what it all adds up to. And it's getting competitive with cable. It is. However, there's a couple things you got to keep in mind. So that, I have my Disney Plus, $7 a month. I have my Hulu Plus that I can't remember what I pay for that. But it's comparable to that and Netflix. And Netflix now, a lot of people put. Well,
you also have Peacock.
Well,
let's not forget
he only got
Peacock.
it for the name, though.
But in Peacock's defense, at least that one's going to be free.
Yeah.
Peacock's going to be free. Got to get your Peacock for free, ladies and gentlemen.
CBS All Access is not free.
It's not free. You got to pay for that.
That's why I don't.
So that's $5 a month. Now, the couple of the big ticket ones though, like if you want HBO, you got to pay whatever. The reason I say you do not count that against your monthly bill is because if you wanted HBO before, you had to pay that extra fee anyway. So to me, HBO is a wash. Amazon Prime. Thing is, I had Amazon Prime not even knowing I got their TV stuff because I just got Amazon Prime because I order a shit ton of stuff off of Amazon. There's very few days that there's not some package at my door.
You're welcome, Jeff Bezos.
Yeah, there you go.
And you get a discount at Whole Foods.
Oh, you do get a discount.
I totally forgot about. I've never taken advantage of that discount.
You got to get the app and then you just scan it every time.
There you go. Mm-hmm. So that becomes a wash because I was going to have that anyways. A lot of people are going to have that anyway. And listen, I don't intend to have every single streaming service. So yes, if you add up every single streaming service, and by the way, could we get to the point where we're paying more for these streaming services? Like if new ones start popping up every other month, yes, you could. But I think right now we are living, Rob and I were saying this the other day, guys, is that it feels like we're living in the wild west of this. Remember, this whole streaming emergence right now is totally in its infancy. It's going to look a lot different 4 years from now than it does today. Everybody's jumping in the pool, and then it's going to shake itself out, and then about 3 or 4 years we'll start to actually get a picture about what will this streaming environment actually look like moving forward. Because I think right now we're getting things that aren't going to be around 4 or 5 years from now. I think there's going to be new ways set up. It's going to be interesting.
And I would even put Disney Plus in the category of HBO because when I was a kid, my parents did not get the Disney Channel for me. And therefore, I grew up
you
without
just got
knowing
this look
anything.
of disgust on your face when you mentioned that my parents did not get Disney Plus for me.
I mean, when you talk about troubled childhoods... What?
Did you call CPS?
I mean, I should have because everybody else knew about Fraggle Rock, and I was like, "What's that, guys?"
Y'all had Kid Chat in Huntsville. You could have called them and been like, "My mom and dad are abusing me. I can't watch Gummy Bears."
There was a gummy bear show?
There's a gummy bear
Yes!
show?
Oh my gosh, it was amazing.
See? Look at my childhood.
Did
Got
watching
it.
it
I didn't
give
really
you
have
diarrhea?
one.
Anyway. By the way, so if you guys have not read the gummy bear reviews on Amazon, one of the funniest things on the internet. People talk about their explosive diarrhea after. It just became a fun thing that people just go and leave. On Amazon, go look it up. Look up Amazon gummy bear reviews. It just became a thing where people just go write these stories about.
There is no reason why anyone would watch that TV show if they were not stoned
No, it
out of
had
their
like
mind.
it wasn't like the Hasbro guys. They had a very deep mythos, and actually, it inspired the Gargoyles cartoon. Very
Really?
weird. Yeah. They wanted to do a dark and gritty Gummy Bears because in the show Gummy Bears, Gummy Bears.
Okay, I gotta ask a question.
Everywhere.
Did the gummy bears come first, or did the gummy bear show come first?
The Gummy Bears, I believe, came first.
Is
The
there a
candy.
licorice show?
The candy came first,
The candy
right?
came first,
Candy
and
came
then
first.
they just, I think, were a bit bouncy.
Oh, like the Snickers commercial. I mean, the Snickers cartoon. The candy came first.
Wait, there's a Snickers cartoon?
You guys did not watch the Snickers cartoon when you were kids.
No,
What
our
are you
parents did
talking
love
about?
us.
Are you kidding?
There is a Snickers cartoon. Are
Oh
you being
my
serious
god!
right
It was
now?
on ABC. It was like my favorite show. I watched it every. I'm just kidding. There was no Snickers
I was going to
cartoon.
say, is this another Star Wars, Star Trek thing that you're doing? I was just thinking, there's no such thing as Snickers.
Aaron Cummings moment.
All right, Angel Pal. Oh, God, I didn't even realize how late it is. Okay, just a couple more questions, guys, and then we're going to have to wrap it up
I
here.
have an audition. I have to go.
Angela Palma writes, would a Deadpool movie still be part of the MCU slate, assuming it's not going to be under the Marvel banner? When will 22 and 23 movies will be released? Okay, so this all comes as part of a bigger conversation. We know that there are 8 Marvel movie dates that have been set for 2022 and 2023. The only one that is locked in stone is Black Panther 2. We know what some of the other ones are going to be, though. We now know that Ant-Man 3 is going to be one of them. We know what Captain Marvel 2 is going to be one of them. We know Guardians of the Galaxy 3 is going to be one of them. An Avengers 5 is most likely going to be one of them. On and on and on. But this left a couple of spots. We know Blade is going to be one of them. But it leaves 1 or 2 spots still that we're like, and we've been speculating whether or not that could be a Deadpool movie. I believe, Angel, that if they keep Deadpool outside of the MCU, which I still think is what they should do, but they're going to do what they're going to do. But if they do make it outside of the MCU, I don't know that would count as one of their dates. If they make it in the MCU, it definitely would count. So I don't know. Okay, so Aaron, you're Disney. You decide, I'm going to keep Deadpool outside of the MCU. It's still a Marvel character, and we're going to make it rated R. Do you technically count that as an MCU movie, even if it's not in the MCU
No.
movie? Semantically, yeah, I don't either.
No.
Chris?
No.
Also, if I am Disney, I'm casting Erin Cummings in one of these movies that's coming out because clearly there's going to be at least a role for her and for Chris Carr.
Hey, thanks.
There you go. You would have made a great Harriet, by the way. So, all right. Guys, that will do it.
I'm mortified. There's no comment to that. I feel like me and Chris Carr would make a great buddy movie.
We would.
It
Yeah.
would make a good buddy movie.
Aw.
Hey, listen, guys, we're all out of time. That will do it for us for today. Actually, you and me aren't done today. You and me are going to go see...
Queen and Slim!
We're going to go see Queen and Slim tonight. I've been really excited about this movie since I first saw... They showed previews for it at CinemaCon in April.
I'm really excited.
And I've been hearing really, really good things. Right now, it's holding 100% on Rotten Tomatoes right now. Now, granted, it was only about 15 reviews, so I'm sure that'll come down a little bit. But so you and I are going to go see that tonight.
Is phenomenal. The writer of the film,
Right.
she's phenomenal. She became the first African American woman to win an Emmy for her work on. Oh my gosh, she was on
Gummy Bears.
Community.
Atlanta? Are you thinking of Donald Glover's show?
No,
Snickers.
Because you said Community.
Stand-up comedian.
Aziz?
Aziz Ansari.
Okay.
Yes. Master of
Master of
None.
None.
Yes.
Yeah.
So Lena Waithe, fantastic. Love her. Can't wait to go see this film. And Jodie Turner-Smith is phenomenal. And I've met her, and she is absolutely luminous, lit from within.
Well, here's hoping the movie doesn't suck, because I've been really excited to see this. So first of all, Aaron, where can people find you online and your adventures?
Well, people can find me on Instagram and Twitter at Aaron L. Cummings. And you can also listen to my podcast, Kappa Kappa Cancer, wherever you listen to podcasts. And next Friday, you can see me on Dynasty playing the district attorney.
Oh, is that when your episodes
Yay!
start?
So after you get your fill of tryptophan and turkey, make sure that you turn on Dynasty that Friday night and check me out. I'll be opening the episode. So turn on right right away.
Do you have sex with somebody on the show?
Maybe.
Ba-bum-bum.
Oh my God.
I just think it's so cool that you're on Dynasty.
Oh my God. It was so much fun. I went in with just like, okay, this will just be another job. And it honestly was so much fun. I said, you know what? I would love to come back to
But this isn't just like a one episode. You were out there for weeks shooting.
I did 2 episodes.
You did 2 episodes over the course of
so
weeks.
It'll be the 29th and then December 6th are my 2 episodes. And you guys, it really is a show that everybody that's a part of it understands exactly what the show is. And nobody's trying to reinvent the wheel. Everybody's just having a lot of fun. And it's a beautiful mix of camp with groundedness. And it's fun. And
I remember you texted me and just saying, you know what? I am having a lot of fun. Like you were actually literally having a really great time out there.
I would go back in a heartbeat. In a heartbeat, I would go back. And I can't say that for every show that I've done. I definitely can. There are many shows on my resume that if they wanted me back, I'd be like, I'll take the paycheck, but I'll do it with gritted. I'll do it through gritted teeth. But Dynasty, I would do it for free, but I won't. So please don't offer that to me.
And Chris Carr, where can people find you and all your adventures online?
Well, Friday I'm going to be drinking martinis and watching Aaron on the TV. Oh my gosh. You can find me online at actor Chris Carr on both Twitter and Instagram, or on YouTube here. You can go head on over to Nerdwire and watch my essays, reviews, and more about all cartoons and nostalgic stuff.
By the way, your stuff on that material is like some of the best info stuff online as far as that subject matter goes. It's really good.
We had a meeting about it yesterday, and I got called an actually in the nicest way, where it was Chris is our tether on the channel. She does, well, actually. It's like, oh, that's great.
Have you considered renting out your voice for people's answering machine messages? Not answering machines. Look at what I said.
Wow. Talking about being dated.
I'm 85 years old.
We wanted to do it as a Patreon, where it could be a reward of me answering your phone as myself or as Butters from South Park, because I do a decent Butters.
I think you absolutely should. If I had your voice and your talents, I would 100% be whoring my voice out everywhere.
Aw, Aaron.
So you do a Butters?
A little bit. I try to.
Okay.
Hey, everybody. I've just played a lot of Hello Kitty Island Adventure. And, oh, man, Jesus Christ, Luke Skywalker is so pissed off at me. Oh.
Have you ever had anybody ask you to sing What in the Butt? Which is like the most iconic Butters moment in the history.
In the butt. What in the butt?
I can hear it.
All right, guys. And of course, you guys can follow me anytime, just simply at John Campea. Hey, listen, for everybody else who still had questions outstanding, from Ryan Lohner, Senior Film, James Argenta, and all the way down. Don't worry, I'm going to be gathering up those questions, and we're going to be doing a companion video to answer all the questions you guys sent in. Keep your eyes open for that next companion video, and we will get to that. All right, so thank you to Aaron Cummings and to Chris Carr. Thank you to you guys for being here and being a part of the show. And of course, a special thanks to all of you guys who sent in the questions, not only because you gave us great fun things to talk about, but also because you supported the channel along the way. Look for mine and Aaron's quick reaction a little bit later tonight after we come out of Queen and Slim. That'll do it for me for now, guys. Thanks a lot for being here. My name's John Campea, and until next time, bye-bye.